Happy April. We're talking about the books I read in March today, and it was a total of 8, but I felt really accomplished with the ones I was getting done in March. And we had our first 5-star read of the year. So that's awesome. I'm happy with that. I'm Morgan. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll enjoy this video. Be encouraged to pick up some of the books I talk about, and just stick around for more content on the channel. The stats for March are actually where 75% were 4 stars and above. So that's really good. I think the lowest is still 3.5. So yeah, very decent reading month. Very decent reading month. Most of the books were ebook or audiobook. I only have these two to hold up. Yeah, this is it for my physical ebooks. Everything else was ebook and audiobook. Unfortunately, I mean, not the audiobook part. I love audiobooks. I'm rambling. I'm debating. Do I start with the best or just well, let's just go in order. I started the month off with the audiobook Queen Amid the Ashes, which was a 4.5 star listen. This is story 1.5 in the Sun Eater series. With those, you don't have to read the novellas in between. You can just read the main novels, but there is a reading order for if you want to read the novellas between the stories to have the whole scope, which is what I'm doing because I want most of this universe. I want to understand things. This one takes place, it's not 1.5, it's 2.5, right? And it takes place just a few years, I think 12, after book 2 happened, and is one of the earlier missions that Hadrian is sent out on. And he is sent to a planet that has been invaded by this alien force that known as the Cielsen that humanity has been fighting against for 400 years since, well, that's what we were told at the beginning of the series. It's been a few hundred now, well, not at this point, but okay. Not the point. Oh my goodness, don't give spoilers, but yet, describing it. He is sent here though to help eradicate the people, not the humans, there, and he finds out things and he upholds some justice. And as in most of the books, you are being told by a future point of Hadrian's view. So there is a lot of his future self commentating on over what is happening. And there's something in this one in particular where he is commenting about what his past self was upholding versus what his future self would do. So I think that was the important thing of this story, is showing that juxtaposition maybe, or just where his morals were at this point and his thought process of things at this point in time. Next up was the audiobook Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This came off hold from my library. It was 4 stars. It was so fun and heartwarming and sad at times too, because okay, our main character is Vera Wong. She is in her 60s or 70s. Her husband has already passed and her son is busy off living his own life. He's a lawyer, so I mean, he's probably quite busy, doing that. But he hardly recalls his mom, and she tries to help him a lot. She texts him a lot, because she's lonely. One of the things I did not understand so much is she has this such precise routine to her day and how she keeps things up, and yet she would let her tea shop fall into dirtiness. It didn't seem right. I mean, it also was showing like it was supposed to be how her life was, dimming, and she didn't have much joy anymore. I get that was supposed to be symbolic. And also she wanted the windows to be kind of dirty, not looked through. That way her nosy neighbor next door, the Chinese lady who ran a French bakery. They were very nosy women of similar age, checking in on each other all the time. One morning, Vera's routine is disrupted by finding a dead body in her tea shop. And she believes she will, of course, solve the murder much better than the police ever can, especially when they disregarded the fact that she was nice enough to draw the outline around the body for them. And she was so disappointed that they were not acting like the people of CSI when they got to her shop. Vera, though, oh my gosh, I love Vera so much. She was like almost fearless through the entire book. Just an incredibly good book with a found family that was beautiful. and I loved it. Next one was our buddy read for the month, and that is What the River Knows by Isabella Banez. This is a 4-star read. I did the review for it. It just came out a few days ago, but I did the review for it, mostly spoiler free. In this one, our main character is Inez Oliveira, who was raised in Buenos Aires high society in the 19th century, so 1800s. Her parents, though, were hardly ever there, so she was always raised by her aunt. This is because her parents were away with one of her uncles in Egypt at archaeological dig sites for pretty much most of every single year of her life. And then one day, while Inez is waiting for their next letter, eagerly waiting, she gets another sort of letter entirely telling her that her parents had passed away. And now all she has left of them is this magical ring that was the last item her father sent her, and it is pulling her towards Egypt. She's always wanted to see the Egypt, the land that has captured her parents' attention, pulled them away from her whole life. And so she takes matters into her own hands and travels to Egypt alone, and hijinks ensue. It is an adventure story. There is some mystery happening. Things are not what they seem. After that, I randomly picked up Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I don't know why, but I did. I listened to it on Everand. It was a 3.5. It was alright. This one, I'm sure most people have heard of it now. It's several years old. It is a Hades and Persephone retelling where Olympus is a place, but it's veiled off from our world because our main character, Persephone, really wants to be able to escape Olympus, because apparently the veil, though, is very hard to get through, and go to college at Berkeley. And Zeus in this one is horrible, quite horrible. He's on his third wife. All of them are Hera. How to describe this one, because it's not even really part of the plot, but most of the Olympians of the 12 are voted into office positions, so you become that role. And except for Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, those are inherited titles passed down through the families. And for most of the people in Olympus, they believe there is no longer Hades, that family is gone, died out. So one night, something really bad happens, and Persephone is like trying to run away from some Secret Service kind of people that are chasing her, as she crosses one of the bridges into the underworld side, or the other side of the river Thames, which is Hades' domain. And she finds out Hades is still alive. He is the ruler of that side, and there's just been a kind of peace treaty held between Zeus and Hades. And of course, Hades is not the bad guy. He cares about his people. He tries to make sure all of them are taken care of. The people actually on his side, it's not the underworld, though. They never call it that. The lower city, I think, though. They're all much better taken care of than the people in Olympus. Of course, there are the high society people and the glitz and the glamour that are like all near where Zeus and the 12 are. That side of the city is fine. But then closer to the riverside, where Zeus doesn't see as much, Zeus doesn't pay attention, there are abandoned buildings, bad places. So yeah, obviously one ruler is better than the other, and things. And of course, this is a very spicy book. It's a very spicy book. I don't know if I will continue any of the other ones. Maybe. It's just the story wasn't a lot. From that, though, listen to something completely different. Is Love, Lies, and Hocus Pocus by Lydia Shearer. And I think this is a series name, though. And this first book is titled Beginnings, and it was more so a grouping of short stories, kind of. I'm not sure if short stories is really the right thing, because it's like each section kind of had its own little tale, but they were all connected. Kind of like the first of the Witcher books, A little bit like that. Our main character is Lily Singer, who is a wizard and also a librarian, which I'm not sure which one she feels is more important. This is a cozy mystery, urban fantasy type book. It does take place in our world where there are wizards and witches. Wizards are born with magic and they work in harmony with nature. Witches it's complicated. It's not greatly in-depthly explained explained. They are lent their power though by deals kind of with other beings. So our secondary character, Sebastian Blackwell, is a witch. He comes from a wizarding family, so he gets looked down upon because he's a witch, but yet if he had not, he would have just not had magic and been looked down on for that. So when you grow up in a wizarding family and not to have magic, of course there's a lot of pressure, and he's a good person, and he's a mischievous person, and their banter is adorable. I don't think there are any feelings yet happening, but I do believe that's going to evolve through the series. This one though, it was interesting. It was a 4 stars, I think I said that. It was kind of cute. I didn't fully get into it, but it's enough to where I'm going to try the next book to see if it's the same setup though, as this one did have a course of different adventures all kind of connected back together. But this was, I think, just mostly to introduce us to the characters and kind of the setup of how the magic works in the world. And I've been told there's something about the cat, which makes me want to. So that is why, one of the reasons that I looked this up on Overend and I listened to the first one. So yes, we will continue on with the second one and see how that goes. I'm sorry the description was not better. The last 2 titles of the month are both in the Sun Eater series. The first one being Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 1. This was a 4-star read again. This is a series of short stories that have previously been published in different magazines, wherever short stories are published, but they were collected together into this first volume that falls in between books 2 and 3 as well. After Queen Amid the Ashes, then this set. And 2 of these stories are definitely, okay, you don't have to, but it gives greater depth to something brought up within the 3rd book. You're like, oh my gosh, but that was, yeah, there is that. And other fun little information-y bits. And then our 5-star book of the month was Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio, book 3 in the Sun Eater series. I did the whole review for this. I like this one so much. I love getting to see Hadrian in his element that, yes, the pacing was maybe a bit slower. Like it gave our characters time to learn things, to appreciate things, just to be at rest instead of this extreme chaos all the time, constant fighting, constant scheming or searching. Were there epic battles? Yes. So don't think this is a slow book. But we had time though where we could just spend, like they spent years on one planet finding stuff out and years on another planet excavating and studying stuff. Of course, you know, these people are genetically altered to live for centuries, so a few years is kind of nothing. Either way, I just greatly enjoyed that even though Hadrian maybe still might not make the greatest decisions, he was not barging in, everything has to be my way, I'm the only one that can think things right, I'm the only one that wants to do this. We were not seeing that Hadrian again. Does he still, like I said, make this, you know, not greatest moral decisions in the end of the book? Either way though, I am so happy with this one, and I cannot wait to read the next one, though I've heard some things. Mostly because apparently books 4 and 5 are supposed to be one, but then I also think that's the case with 6 and 7, and yet the publisher has split it into 2 books each. They said that they split 6 and 7 more so because of the ongoing like paper shortage and stuff, and 4 and 5 the publisher didn't want to print that big of a book, like Sanderson size book, I guess. I don't know, they're really long. This one was, well, okay, with its appendixes and glossaries and stuff, it is almost 800 pages. It's a chunky book, and it's amazing, and I love that there are glossaries and appendixes and character lists at the end of it. Those are all the books that I read in March. I really hope you had an awesome reading month too. I'd love to know what all you read, if they were good, not so good, or anytime you would love to talk about books. We can talk in the comments, on Discord, and I hope that you will join me for May's Buddy Read, books still to be determined. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you're having an awesome day and finding something great to read.